Hi, my name is Oscar and I am a scientist. In today's video we are going to cover the cost of EB2 NIW applications. We will go through each component of the cost and finally we will give a final figure on what you should expect to pay for your green card application.
So let's start. Here is a list of the major items that constitute the total cost for EB2 NIW application. And this applies, of course, to 2022. We're going to go through each one of them in the next slides, but we have two different classes or categories of costs. Ones are the official fees by the US government, the USCIS, that includes the I-140 and I-485, as well as consulate fee that would replace the adjustment of status if you're applying from abroad, and the biometrics fee, and that's like your fingerprints and so on. Then a second class is the non-official and non-regulated costs, and that includes medical exams, attorney fees, that is an optional component that you can choose to have or not, and finally others, and we'll talk about what those other costs can be. So let's start by I-140 and I-485 costs. So if you are in the US, you need to do both of these. If you are not in the US, you only need to focus on I-140 for now. So these are regulated costs, these are government fees, they are non-refundable, and that means that once you submit your application, they will subtract the money from your account. Basically, if you pay with a check, you will see the check being cashed out. And if you submit a cashier's check, then the money will be gone essentially, no matter what decision is taken by the USCIS officer. So the cost for I-140, which is the first leg of the NIW process, is $700. So you'll need to submit your application, and in the application you will have a check or a cashier's check, and that will be for $700. Right now, there's no premium processing available for this category. Only for certain older cases, they can actually upgrade to premium processing. But soon, USCIS expects to have premium processing available for everyone. This will add $2,500, but it's also optional. So you can pay for that and have your case processed fast, but you can also not pay for it and just have the normal processing time. And we'll have a different video covering what are the typical processing times and what you should expect for each case. Finally, if you are in the US, you'll have to pay for the I-485. That's the adjustment of status. Once your I-140 is approved, then you have to convert your status into this green card status. And that will add a little bit over $1,000 for each individual. So for the I-140, you are applying by basically your application is focused on you, on yourself, but you will already indicate if you have dependents in that package. But once you are approved, then each person that is dependent on the application, they will need to pay their own I-485 fee. All right. Then we have the biometrics fee. So once you submit your adjustment of status, you will be called for an interview most likely. And even if you are not called for an interview, you will still be called for a biometrics. And that's where they take your picture and they take your fingerprints. So you have to go to a certain location that they will indicate, and you'll need to pay $85 for that. Unless your dependents are younger than 14 or older than 79 years old, then it will be free. If you are applying from abroad, then you will not do the I-485. You'll not adjust your status because you're not in the US. You don't have a non-immigrant status. So you will have to do what is called consular processing. And for that, there's also a fee. There's also a fee that is non-refundable, as typically these government fees are. And the cost in 2022 is $345. And all these figures are taken from the official websites, and I will leave links in the description below so you can check them out and make sure that what I'm saying is correct. Medical exams are needed. They are part of the process. Once your application for I-140 is approved and you are doing your adjustment of status or your consular processing, they will indicate that you need to submit your I-693 or report of medical examination and vaccination record. This can only be done in certain doctor offices. Not all the doctors can do this. You have to check out in their website where you can go to, and then the cost will also vary by location and the doctor themselves. Typically, in 2022, the cost is around $200 to $400, depending on the location and the office. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less, but this is an approximate number. Finally, there are what I call other costs. Those are costs that you may or may not need. There's translations that if you have documents from other countries and they are in different languages, then you may want to have, you will want to have a translation to English. If you have an advanced degree, which is one of the requirements for this category, either master's or PhD, then you want to make sure that you get an evaluation for that degree. There are organizations that will take a look at your degree and they will explain to the USCIS what is the equivalent degree in the United States. So that will make your degree valid and you will be able to comply with the advanced degree requirement. There are mailing costs. You will have to mail your applications to USCIS location, so you will have to pay for that. And you will have to have some office supplies to put your petition together, especially if you are doing a do-it-yourself application and you are not hiring a lawyer. These are minor costs, but they should be considered as well. Finally, the big one is attorneys, lawyers. You can hire attorneys or not. This is optional. EB2 NIW is a category where you can self-petition, which means you don't need a sponsor, you don't need a company or a job. And also, you don't need to have a lawyer. So you can do it all by yourself. That's what I did in this category. I put all the application by myself. I printed it out. I did the binding. I did the mailing. I did everything by myself, and I pay $0 for attorneys. But you also have the option to hire someone to do all the work. Attorney fees are variable, depend a lot of the firm that you hire, and the services included are also variable. I had experience with a different category of green card, EB1, and I saw that there are differences from my case to my friend's case that use different lawyers. Some of them are more supportive, some of them are not. So you should definitely, if you are interested in hiring a lawyer, you should definitely ask them a lot of questions about what will be included. Approximately, I would say that around $7,000, but again, this is an average that can go up or down depending on who you hire. And a little bit more about attorneys is what do they include? Make sure that if you are going to go this route, you know what you are getting yourself into. Do they include preparation of recommendation letters? When I use attorneys for EB1, they actually did not help me at all with the recommendation letters. I had to prepare them by myself. I had to deal with all of that. But some others, I know they at least provide templates or they actually help you draft and review the recommendation letters. Typically, all of them will help with the petition cover letter. That's pretty much their main job. They have to find a good strategy so your case is very strong and your chances are very high. Then some of them may provide feedback on your profile. They will give their opinion if they think that you qualify or they think that you should add something else to your profile and give it a little bit more time for preparation. But some other lawyers, they may not help you at all with this, and they will just basically focus on writing the cover letter and that's it. Some of them will be very responsive to questions and fast, and some others you may need to wait a few days or a week to hear back. So that's a very important part that you should really understand before hiring someone. And some of them will be very supportive for RFEs. Typically, they should, but again, that's something to ask if that's included in the price. And RFE, for those of you who don't know, is request for evidence. Sometimes USCIS will send a letter asking for more evidence to ask you for more proof of something if they are not fully convinced that you meet a certain requirement. So this is a very critical moment where you should be ready to really jump in and give your best response. Another thing that I typically say is that hiring attorneys is not like a magic thing and suddenly all the work will go away. You will still need to do a lot of work even if you hire attorneys. You will need to give them all your information because at the end of the day, they don't really know you. You have to provide your CV, you have to polish it, give them a very comprehensive CV so they understand your profile. You have to describe all the projects you have worked on so they can then take that and put it in the cover letter. Sometimes you have to write the recommendation letters as well, which adds a lot of time. Is 4 to 6 letters that you have to 4 to 8 letters that you have to write. And when you are talking with the lawyers, you have to write in a language they can understand. They are not technical people, so you really need to spend time digesting the way you explain things so they can fully understand, so they can then go and write the best case. And you have to produce all the documentation and evidence for supporting your case. So there's a lot of work, a lot of hours that you will have to put anyway. And I had that experience with the EB1 category that my company sponsor. And that's why at a certain point, I had done so much work that I actually decided to go for an EB2 NIW because I could use all the write-ups that I had done for the lawyers, even the recommendation letters, and I just needed to put together a cover letter for my EB2 NIW, and I ended up doing that, and both of them, EB1 and EB2, were actually approved. And I have a video where I discuss the details of that story. If you are interested, I will leave it in the corner. All right. Finally, the moment of truth. When we add everything together, we can have all the items here on the left side. These are all the items we discussed. And then I have a column for cost without using lawyers or do it yourself. And then cost with lawyers. And of course, the only thing that changes from one to the other is the cost for hiring attorneys. So if you don't hire attorneys, you can expect to pay between $2,100 to $2,700. And of course, this is variable. And here, for example, I didn't include translations or evaluations for academic records that will increase the price a little bit higher. If you hire lawyers, I say that approximately you're looking at $10,000, but it could be more as well. So it really depends who you hire. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please visit my website, eb2niw.info. Here you can actually download my real petition and you can go through all my documents and see how I approach this process and how I argue my case. And hopefully it can be helpful to you. You can also find tons of information about EB2 NIW, and I really hope it helps you. And if it does, please send me a comment, give me some feedback, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and we'll grow this community together. Good luck to you, and see you in the next video.